Hello, and in this part 2 video I'm going to look at the topic describe something that you have bought and never used. You should say what it is, when and where you bought it, why you bought it, and explain why you've never used it. So I spent a long time trying to think of something that a lot of people could talk about, and hopefully when you listen to the answer you'll see that you could probably use this as well. So I've gone for something that's not too expensive and something that a lot of people might have bought. And remember, even if you've never bought these, you can still use this as your answer. I wouldn't call myself a shopaholic, but I am guilty of buying things and never using them. The first thing that came to mind when I read this question was a pair of running shoes. Last year, my New Year's resolution was to get fit, and I planned to do this by going running every day. I did actually go running on the 1st of January, and instead of taking it slowly, I ran about 5k. Well, to be honest, I probably ran about 50 meters and I walked the rest of the way. When I got home, my feet were killing me and covered in blisters. Deciding it was my trainers that were the problem, I went online and splashed out on a brand new pair of running shoes. This was a stupid idea for many reasons, but mainly because you should never buy running shoes online, as it is impossible to get the size right, and you really need to get them fitted by an expert. When they arrived 3 days later, I opened the box, thought to myself, they look nice, and never opened the box again. You might be wondering why I didn't use the trainers. Was it because they didn't fit? Well, to be perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea if they fit or not, because I didn't even get as far as trying them on. The problem with New Year's resolutions is that we have a great deal of enthusiasm when we make them, but they are almost impossible to stick to. By the time they had arrived, although my feet had recovered from the blisters, I had lost my enthusiasm for running. For the whole of January, I kept thinking, I'll go running tonight. And then when I finished work, I was shattered or it was raining, and so I would make an excuse and say to myself, I'll definitely go tomorrow. The problem is that when you procrastinate, it is hard to ever do the thing that you were planning to do. A month later, I realised that it was too late to return the running shoes, so I'd wasted my money. Maybe I will use them at some point in the future. It is unlikely, but here's hoping. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the language used in this answer. There is a lot of complex language, there is a lot of complex grammar. I might not pick out everything that's highlighted. I'm just going to focus on some of the more important things. A shopaholic, very useful word. You could use it in IELTS writing as well if it's talking about why do people buy so many goods nowadays, because people are shopaholics. Anything with aholic on the end means you're addicted to it, like alcoholic, chocoholic, so you can use it with different words, workaholic. So shopaholic, somebody who is addicted to shopping. I am guilty of plus verb plus ing, guilty of doing things. It means I do this and it's not necessarily a good thing to do. I'm guilty of buying things and never using them. This is something that a lot of IELTS candidates use, but they often put a my before mind, and we don't use that. We say the first thing that came to mind, or the first thing that sprang to mind when I read this question. And when we talk about shoes, we say a pair of running shoes. My New Year's resolution I don't know if you do these in your country, but on the 1st of January, a lot of people in the UK make New Year's resolutions. And these are decisions to do something, either to get fit, to lose weight, to stop smoking, these kinds of things. So my New Year's resolution was to get fit. Here in this grammar phrase I've got I did actually go. So I'm using did as an auxiliary verb here, and we do this to make it stronger, to make it more forceful. So I'm saying yes, I did go. Instead of, when we use instead of, remember to use it with an ing verb, instead of doing, instead of taking. Haven't highlighted this, but I'll just mention it. 5k, it means 5 kilometers, and often when we're talking about running we say 5k, 10k. My feet were killing me. Very useful expression, quite informal. I use it all the time when your feet are really tired. My feet are killing me. So I'm saying at the point when I finish, my feet were killing me, and covered in blisters. Apologies for this picture, it's not particularly nice, but this is a blister that appears on your foot when your shoes are rubbing against your skin. Deciding it was my trainers that were the problem. Here we've got a present participle and it's been used as an adjective. So deciding it was my trainers that were the problem, I went online. Not going to explain the grammar behind that, but it's a very useful phrase to use. I splashed out on. This is a phrasal verb, to splash out on. It's quite informal and it means to spend a significant amount of money on something, to splash out on. Brand new. They were new, I'm just saying brand new to show the IELTS examiner that I can use less commonly used items and more complex vocabulary. This was a stupid idea for many reasons, but mainly because always think of your part 2 a bit like a mini essay. So it's a stupid idea for many reasons, but then I'm going to focus on the main one, mainly because. To get them fitted, this means to get somebody to measure your feet and get you the right size. So an expert, a person who is used to fitting shoes or running shoes. So here I'm moving on to the bullet point about why I haven't used this item. You might be wondering, something we use a lot in English when you want to say something, so you're sort of saying to the person, oh, you probably want to know why. You might be wondering why I didn't use the trainers. So remember, trainers is another way of saying sports shoes, running shoes. To be honest, just instead of using to be honest all the time, to be perfectly honest. I've absolutely no idea. Very useful phrase. You could use it in part 3 if you just do not know how to answer the question. I'm really sorry, I've absolutely no idea. Meaning I don't know. I did not even get as far as trying them on, so it means I didn't even try them on. I didn't even get as far. New Year's resolutions, very useful for this topic, so remember it. A great deal of enthusiasm, instead of using things like a lot of, and in IELTS writing as well, a great deal of. When we talk about our New Year's resolutions, we talk about sticking to them, so we use the verb to stick to. So they're impossible to stick to, and this means they're impossible to keep. Here we've got some very complex grammar, the past perfect, because I'm saying at this point in the past, by the time they had arrived, although my feet had recovered from the blisters, so something that happened before something else in the past. The past perfect is a past in the past tense. I'd lost my enthusiasm for. Very good complex language. You could use it in IELTS writing. Majority of people have lost their enthusiasm for, and it means you're no longer enthusiastic, you're no longer keen to do something, so to lose your enthusiasm for. For the whole of January, just a bit more complex than saying throughout January or during January. For the whole of January. Very good word, can be used in lots of IELTS answers. Quite informal, so don't use it in writing. Shattered. It means very tired. It was raining. Great way to get some past continuous in there. I would make an excuse using would here like used to. If you make an excuse, you say, oh, I'm a bit tired, or oh, I haven't got time. So this is to make an excuse. To procrastinate, very useful word, quite formal, can be used in IELTS writing. And to procrastinate, if you are a procrastinator, it means you'll say, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. I would say the majority of us are procrastinators, and we procrastinate a lot. So we say, oh, I'll do that later, I can do it tomorrow, I'll definitely do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and then we don't do it. We have a saying in English, tomorrow never comes, because it's always tomorrow, obviously, because today is today and tomorrow is tomorrow, and this is procrastination. The thing you are planning to do, so talk about things you're planning to do, because this is something you've bought never used, so I was planning to do this. I had wasted my money, again, past perfect. Maybe I'll use them at some point in the future. It is unlikely, but here's hoping, meaning it's hardly possible, it's unlikely, but here's hoping. We use here's hoping quite a lot. It's quite informal when you hope something will happen. So if somebody says to you, oh, you've got your IELTS exam tomorrow, I think you will get IELTS 7 in speaking. Here's hoping. So it's like saying, I hope so. So a lot of complex language in here. I think the main thing for these videos is just basically giving you the idea of what to talk about, because it is very difficult in the exam to think of something very quickly, but lots of useful vocabulary like New Year's resolutions, to stick to New Year's resolutions, to lose your enthusiasm for, to procrastinate, to make an excuse, to be shattered. So try and go through the video a few times and try and remember 5 to 6 of these phrases. Don't try and overwhelm yourself and try to learn everything, but if you can get 5 to 6 of them, that will impress the IELTS examiner. Thank you for watching.